There is perhaps no question more consequential in all of human history than this one. Who exactly was Jesus of Nazareth? Was he simply a wise teacher, a revolutionary prophet, or something far greater? The claim that Jesus is the Son of God is not a minor theological footnote. It is the central pillar of the Christian faith, and remarkably, the evidence supporting this claim comes from multiple directions: historical, prophetic, and supernatural. When examined honestly and carefully, the case becomes extraordinarily compelling. Long before Jesus walked the earth, ancient Hebrew scriptures contained hundreds of specific prophecies about a coming Messiah. These were written centuries before his birth, yet they describe his life with stunning precision. The prophet Micah, writing around 700 years before Christ, identified Bethlehem as the birthplace of the coming ruler. Isaiah, in chapter 53, described a suffering servant who would be pierced for the transgressions of others, bear the sins of many, and be buried with the rich in his death. A portrait that aligns perfectly with the crucifixion and burial of Jesus. The Psalms, written by King David roughly 1,000 years before Jesus, describe a figure whose hands and feet would be pierced and whose garments would be divided by casting lots. Details that mirror the crucifixion account with remarkable accuracy. Mathematically, the probability of one person fulfilling even 8 of these prophecies by chance has been calculated by scholars at 1 in 10 to the 17th power. Jesus fulfilled over 300. The miracles attributed to Jesus were not performed in secret corners. They happened in public, before crowds of witnesses, and they were so undeniable that even his enemies did not attempt to dispute them. The Jewish religious leaders, the Pharisees, never once claimed his miracles did not happen. Instead, they attributed his power to dark forces, an indirect but powerful acknowledgement that something genuinely supernatural was occurring. Jesus healed the blind, raised the dead, and commanded the natural world. The raising of Lazarus, recorded in the Gospel of John, took place in front of a large crowd and was so widely known that it directly triggered the plot to have Jesus arrested. Even the first-century Jewish historian Josephus, who was not a Christian, referenced Jesus as a doer of wonderful works, providing non-biblical historical confirmation of his extraordinary deeds. No piece of evidence carries more weight than the resurrection. The tomb was empty. This is a fact acknowledged even by the Roman and Jewish authorities of the time, who attempted to explain it away by claiming the disciples had stolen the body. But this explanation collapses under scrutiny. The disciples who had fled in fear at the arrest of Jesus were suddenly transformed into bold proclaimers of his resurrection, willing to face imprisonment, torture, and death rather than recant. People do not willingly die for something they know to be a lie. Over 500 people, according to the Apostle Paul, writing in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, witnessed the risen Jesus. Paul wrote this within decades of the event, while eyewitnesses were still alive to confirm or deny it. No credible refutation ever emerged. Perhaps the most direct evidence comes from the accounts of God, the Father himself, speaking audibly about Jesus. At the baptism of Jesus, recorded in all 4 Gospels, a voice from heaven declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Again, at the Transfiguration on the mountain, witnessed by Peter, James, and John, the same declaration was made. Jesus himself, when asked directly by the high priest whether he was the Son of God, answered affirmatively. A statement the religious authorities considered so significant that they used it as the basis for his execution. The life, the prophecies, the miracles, the resurrection, and the divine declarations all converge on one undeniable conclusion. Jesus of Nazareth was not merely a good man or a great teacher. The evidence, examined honestly, points to exactly who he claimed to be, the Son of the living God.